started on the topic of Guru and the importance of having a Guru and the importance of being in the presence of the Guru, not online presence. This is one thing that needs to be offline. In the sense, it has to be one-to-one, face-to-face. I love this padyam, this shloka from Adi Shankaracharya's Viveka Chudamani, when first time a person approaches the Guru and says what? He says, Swami Namaste Nataloka Bandho Karunya Sindho Patitam Bhavabdho Mamuddharatmiya Kataksha Drishtya Rijvati Karunya Sudha Vivrishtya. Swami, O Guru, I bow down to you. You are the ocean of compassion, you are the friend, you are the well-wisher of those who come and seek your refuge. I am the fallen one. I have fallen into the Bhavasagara. Please save me, please redeem me. Uddhara. Redeem me how? Atmiya Kataksha Drishtya. Just by one glance of yours, redeem me. Just by one look of yours, do redeem me. And let your compassion, the rain, the shower of your compassion come straight on me. Karunya, Sudha Vivrishtya. That nectar of your compassion, let it fall on me. So Kataksha Drishtya. Just by one look, Guru can redeem the person. I don't know whether that would happen on Zoom. You look this way, the student is on the other side. These cameras, they create the opposite. What is left becomes right, what is right becomes left in these cameras. So we don't know whether the Kataksha Drishtya will go and fall on some wall or some chandelier or some table somewhere, not on us. See, if this was so easy, knowledge can be given online. Wisdom will come only offline. Sitting at the Guru's feet, Upavishad, then only it will come. Otherwise, it will not come. This online business will work for secular education when you just want knowledge. You are not after the wisdom of it. Vijnana will come. Prajnana will come. I am doubtful. So for that sake, at least you have to seek out a Guru. And how should one be with the Guru? Guru Sharanambuja Nirbhara Bhaktaha. He is dependent on Guru for everything. Nirbhara means for any instructions he is dependent on the Guru. For his redemption he is dependent on the Guru. He is completely a bhakta to a Guru, like Marjala Bhakti, like a kitten. Completely dependent on the Guru for his redemption. It means if the Guru decides to redeem him today, he should be ready. Come, I'll give you moksha, give up everything. Given up. Swami, give me moksha, give me moksha. No, wait, you have got the work to do in the world, finish all that, then we will see. All right, as you wish. Nirbhara Bhakta. It completely depends on Guru for his or her redemption. If it has to be now, it is now. If it has to be 100 years later, fine. If few births later also is fine. Whatever my Guru decides, he knows best. Samsarat achirat bhava muktaha. From the world, the samsara, this bhavabdhi, achirat, without delay, bhava mukta, he becomes freed. It doesn't mean that he'll disappear from the earth, dead and gone and settled in some other Brahmaloka or somewhere. No. From this samsara maya, he is freed. Achirat, without delay, because Guru decided. How does it happen? You may think, oh, that is so easy if I can find a Guru. And somehow even Vakra Drishti falls on me. From corner of his eye looks at me, I am redeemed. No. Wait, the shloka is not over. The first part of the shloka is to motivate everybody. The second part of the shloka is the business. Sendriya manasa niyamadeyam. Indriya and manasa, niyama, in control, and offer to Guru, deyam. Offer whom Guru will redeem? Who has given up his mind and senses. It means everything that he is or she is given up totally to the Guru. Drishyase, that person alone sees. Where what? Nija hridayastha devam. In his own heart, not outside, in his own heart she will see her or his own divinity. So yes, Guru Charanambuja, Nirbhara, you have to depend on Guru's feet, not on Zoom, not online, not WhatsApps, not all kinds of online technologies. On his feet, you should be surrendered at his feet. Then what happens? You immediately are redeemed from this moha of the samsara. But when you have offered your indriya, manasa, everything to the Guru, without any conditions, without any holding back anything, 99.99%, this 0.001% I kept for myself. No. Absolutely every single piece of you, every single part of you, every single bit of you is offered. Here, everything is yours. Means whatever you say, whatever you decide, whatever you ask, command, instruct, guide, that's final. There is no second question after that. Yesterday somebody asked me a question. I said, what are the choices that you have? He said, I have 3 choices, 1, 2, 3. And I chose the third choice, which was, so to say, very irrational, very illogical in the present times. So came back the next question. Swami, in the third choice there are 1 or 2 issues. So I said, then why did you ask me? Then do as you please. If the third choice is what I selected, either you believe that I know everything, whether you explain to me or not, and therefore you are totally dependent on me, or you don't ask me if you have some more conditions to offer and some more terms you must tell me before I make a educated guess. So that is how they are, devotees. Then how they are nirbhara bhakta? They are not here. See, they have a thought in their head. They want it that way. They just want a validation, endorsement from my side. They want to do what they want to do. Nevertheless, they've decided upon it. Why they come to me? Just can he puts one seal of endorsement, then it's easy for me to get my work done. 1, 2, confidence comes on me, comes in that person that I can go ahead because Swami has, whatever said, blessed it or something, stamped it. Third, if something goes wrong, I know whom to blame. Come back to Swami and say, you decided. I said, I always told you the third one was better. You came with many choices. So what? You should have stopped me in my tracks and you should have taken charge of me. You should have decided and demanded of me that I followed what you said. When did you allow me to do that? When did you allow me to do that? Nirbhara. Where? Bhara, not nirbhara. When did you allow me to do that? And after everything fails, you come back and shout at me. Why did you not stop me when I was going wrong? Where were you? You said you were my guru. You were supposed to have stopped me. Where did you allow me to stop you? When did you allow me? You shut the door. You close your ears to my instructions. So that kind of bhakta, even guru is around, is not going to help. It's not going to help. Guru rukta vakyasya manoyascha lagne. The one who listens to the guru's vakya alone. Tavedvanchitartham param brahma sangya. Understands, practices Guru's word, he alone or she alone attains everything, and also the Parama Brahma Sangya, the ultimate, highest that one can achieve in one's life. But how many are completely nirbhara? That is the question. So Guru does not pick up anybody and does not take anybody and accept anybody. It's not happening. When Dattatreya was the Guru of Parashurama, how much he eluded him. Parashurama had to go searching. Dattatreya, you never know where he lives, what he does, because he has no home. He has no Aniketan. He doesn't have any house, where to stay, where to find him, no address. So you just pray that if I am worthy of your guidance now, please do appear, and wherever you are, I can't search you. You only come searching for me. Then Guru will appear. It's important at that point in time that Guru appears and guides the sincere soul who is seeking truth. It's not a fancy thing. At 5 o'clock, everybody on Zoom, let's have a nice satsang. And by 7 o'clock, we all would be Atmagyanis. Nothing like that happens. These are all fancy things. A Guru's Kripa Kataksha is very important in the sense whether it's physically or whether it is adhyatmically, but definitely on internet basis. Internet basis, yes. I am somewhere, my Guru is somewhere, but in my heart of hearts, I am connected to my Guru. And there are enough Guru paramparas, enough traditions where Gurus have, crossed. Why go for Swami? Anywhere, anytime he has went and guided people when there was really a need and sincerity and total dependency on God. Not these half-hearted questions where you already have decided something or you have a mind of your own, and then you also want Swami to just endorse that idea so that it gets accepted in the community that where you're living, or it just seconds your own opinion about how things should be in your life. That is not Guru. You're not dependent on that. So that kind of a pure-hearted devotion to Guru alone can redeem such a person. And what did I told you the other day? Chitram Vatataror Mule. What is happening under the Vatataru? Very strange thing is happening. What? Vruddha Shishya. All old Shishyas are sitting there. And Guru Riva. Young Guru is sitting there. And what is happening? Gurustu Maunam Vyakhyanam. Doesn't speak at all. Shishyastu Chinna Samshaya. All their doubts are getting destroyed on their own. So physical, in the sense, having offered oneself to the Guru completely, served the Guru Shraddhaya, Paripatena, Pariprashnena, Sevaya. Having served the Guru, having surrendered to the Guru, Paripate, having completely surrendered one's entire being to the Guru without holding anything back for oneself. No ideas, no desires, no plans of your own. Then that Guru will give you the Upadesha. And that is enough. One compassionate look at you, you are redeemed. Anything can happen at that point in time because Guru has decided. But to make the Guru decide, to deservedness of the Shishya is so important that the Shishya is well prepared. I was telling the story this morning to our students of Paramahamsa Yogananda. You know him, Paramahamsa Yogananda. His real name was Mukunda. He used to live in Calcutta with his father, mother, brother, sister and all that. But he was always having this inner urge to find God. I want to see God. I want to experience God. So at some point in time, he even ran away from his house without telling anybody and ended up in Varanasi searching for a Guru and accidentally stumbled upon, no accidents of course in this field, there are only incidents, no accidents. So he met Yukteswar Giri Maharaj and then he guided him to come to his ashram near Calcutta, told don't run away from home, don't be in Varanasi, come there, I'll be closer to you near Calcutta and you meet me there. So again his father was happy that son is back. Otherwise, son would have run away, then I would have lost one son, brilliant son. At the same time, son is also happy that though he has come back, he is able to meet a Guru, stay close to a Guru. So both father and son are happy now. And bigger happiness is continuing his education because Guru told, get a degree. Someday when you go to West, it will be important for you. So he had already told long back. Anyway, he started living with Yukteswar Giri Maharaj and he would see this Yukteswar Giri Maharaj will go off into Samadhi at his, will and wish. In the night, mosquitoes will be biting this poor little young aspirant, whereas our Yukteswar Giri Maharaj will be in Samadhi, unaffected by the mosquitoes or anything. So he started growing impatient. When will I get into that kind of a state? When is he going to teach me this? All the time, cook this, clean that, fill water, get that. When I am going to learn this? He grew impatient. So one day he decided to tell his Guru, I want to go to Himalayas. What happened suddenly to you? No, I want to go there, meditate in a cave and realize God, find God. He said, what will the inert mountains, will teach you? Yeah, the live Guru is there. Why you want to go to inert mountains? He was not convinced because Nirbhara Bhakta is not there. He is not totally dependent on the Guru. So he decided, let me find out for myself. This Guru is not teaching me much. No patience, saburi. So one night he ran away from here also and found out from one of his professors in the college there is one particular Ram Babu Majumdar. He is very, very Siddha, he is very big spiritual giant. You meet him. So he ran away from home and went to a temple on the way, Tarakeshwar Mahadev temple, and then there also he thought, why should I bow down to stone? I am only God, everything is, why should I bow down to God in the form? This Saguna, Nirguna, Sakara, Nirakara, this confusion. So he didn't bow down, he went away from there. And then he walked and walked and walked. After a long train journey, he walked further. And some village fellow told him, take a right after the crossroads, and he took the right and kept walking. It became night, he never reached the village. When he asked somebody, they said, what did you do? You took a right? Oh, you should have taken the left. He cursed the person who had misguided him. Anyways, that night somebody, the hospitality of India, Tithi Deva Bhava, allowed to sleep and eat at somebody's poor hut. And next morning he started walking the right direction. It was mid-noon and hot sun, and unable to find the Guru still, unable to reach the village still. He was almost giving up. And he was telling that everybody whom he came across, he asked, they said, one more mile, like this they will tell. But this 1 mile will become 2, still the village won't come. When are you coming? 5 minutes, I'm there. The Indian Standard Time, they say. So, this ISD, Indian Standard Distance, how far it is? Everything is 1 krosha, means approximately 2 miles. Another krosha. He kept on walking. Finally got exhausted, and he thought of giving up the pursuit when he saw a very, very unassuming man, very much like any local villager walking towards him. Nothing impressive about his personality, except deep, dark eyes, he says. And this man stopped and chided him. Before he could open his mouth to ask, can I meet this Ram Babu of this particular village? He said, I was leaving the village, but I just waited for you because you were coming. You cannot come unannounced like this. And that professor of yours, he should be, treated well for giving my address like this without my permission. He said, how does he know that I am the Shishya and he's coming? There's no communication then. He told, why have you come here all the way? You have a guru in Calcutta. He said, I have come to find God. Where is God? So God is within. Only within? No, he's without, he's everywhere. Then why did you not bow down to that Shiva in the temple? He said, oh, this man knows more than what I thought. Then he said, that is why you got trouble. That man guided you to take a right instead of left, and you suffered because of your arrogance. Then he surrendered, fell at his face. Tell me, what should I do? Go back to your guru. He is there to take care of you. Anyways, you have come this far, have some rest. Tomorrow you go back. So took him to his hut, fed him something. They meditated for some time. In the night, he explained to him, see, you don't have to go to Himalaya. Wherever you are, a silent corner is your cave. Think like that. Running away from the society and trying to hide some corner is not going to help you. Where you are, learn to detach yourself and focus on this idea. And then he told, you are not ready. That's why your guru has not given you this. You are not ready yet. You are like a low volt bulb, through which if a high voltage current passes, you will be burnt, you will get destroyed. That's why he is waiting for your preparation. And that is why it is not allowed. Still. Oh, he understood everything now. He was grateful to this Guruji, and then he left next morning back to his ashram, shamefacedly, stood there at the door. And the Guru was just normal. Oh, you have come, let's have lunch, and you must be hungry. Didn't even ask where you went, why did you not take my permission? He knows. Fed him, some time passed, then he wanted to do meditation. As he sat down in meditation, this guilt and these thoughts were, troubling him. He couldn't meditate. But he tried hard to meditate. The more hard you try, the more difficult it is to meditate. Meditation happens, it is not done. So this Guru from the top shouted, come up here. He said, no, Guruji, I am meditating. He said, I know what meditation you are doing, come up here. He went, your mind is everywhere, you are saying you are meditating. You are feeling bad that you left without my permission. All things are going on inside your head. Oh, he was again, totally exposed. And then Guru said, took pity. So much he's struggling. And he just touched him, it seems. And he was with a broom or something, is cleaning there. And this man went into a state of a kind of samadhi where he felt everything is one with him. Everything he could see. He had no consciousness of the body. Just the amazing experience of this oneness feeling. And for a few moments it lasted. He came back to his senses, fell at the feet of the Guru, saying that, what a fool I was. I left you, who is Nityanandam Parama Sukhadam Kevalam Jnana Murti. You are here and I ran away somewhere. He said, it's all right, now take the broom and start cleaning. That's what Guru Charana Ambuja Nirbhara Bhakta, who depends totally on a Guru. And mostly it is, and serves Guru, it is important. Serves Guru, because serving the Guru will take away your sense of individuality by that virtue of serving a Guru, not like physically serving the Guru. In those days, ashrams were there, people will serve in the ashram. You are all serving in the ashram. You are serving students and staff and whoever it is, patients and devotees. So you are serving Guru in some way, because they are told, Pariprashna, you want to ask the higher question, then do sevaya. Ask, do seva. Otherwise, your ego will not come down. This kind of stupid ego, silly ego, like Param Sevagananda, young Mukunda walked away saying, this Guru is not teaching me anything. So that kind of Guru Bhakti is of no use. It says, Yatha Deve Tatha Guru. The way you are devoted to the God, likewise you should be devoted to your Guru. And only when your mind becomes pure and you are eligible, and who knows best? Guru knows best. Whether you are ready or not ready, whether you are putting sincere efforts or you are fooling around, he knows best. So as long as you are consistent and you are practicing and you are sincere and honest and you are dependent on Guru, there is no doubt he will take you across. Because that is why they are here for Tirna Swayam Vima Bhava Arnavam Janana Hetu Na Anyanapi. For no other sake they are here. They have already crossed over. For the sake of others they are here to help them Tare and cross over. Otherwise they have no business over here in this world. Why? What business they have? But they are here only because there are some others who also want to be redeemed. And they need some guidance, they need some example, they need some ideal to look up to. That's why this Guru, this idealism, and that Guru's vibration, you see the presence, the aura, that itself is tremendous transformation. That you cannot get, Of course, pictures also radiate. They say if you put a picture and meditate on it, it depends much on your purity, your receptive capacity. Not much on Guru. It's like sunlight which is there. But nevertheless, in an ashram, in a pure environment, in the Sangha, good company of noble, like-minded people who have the same goal as you in terms of self-realization, who are also equally dedicated to the Guru as you, in the presence of each other, in the presence of such an environment, all these comes together to help you realize your goal. You sit in the middle of a city and some 80th tower in some New York building, all the time worried about where the stock markets are going up and down. And then you also want to suddenly enjoy the Guru Bhakti, and also it's so difficult it is. It's one in a Viralohi Mahashaya, they say, one in the billion may be like that. How many can be like that? So therefore there is a paddhati, there is a process, there is a method to reach a Guru, and that is also to do with a proper Sangha, a proper company. Be a Shishya. I was telling yesterday, Shvetashvatara Upanishad, it says, Na Shishya. Don't teach it to those who are not Shishyas. Na Putraha, they say. Sons also, if they are not your children, don't teach this. Because you don't know which genes, what background, what kind of, vasanas, what prarabdha they are coming with. You don't know. That's why you don't trust whom to teach. Or Shishya. Once you have tested and trusted them, then you take them as Shishya, then you teach them. Even if they are Putra and Shishya, if they are Aprashanta Manasa, their minds are not steady, don't teach them, they say. So today it has happened like that. It's a good thing or bad thing that so much of Vedantic knowledge is spoken by so many gurus across the world, and it's all available, online. People are taking online classes, maybe even charging a small fee to run their ashram, or even just to pay the internet bill on which they are using these online classes. Whatever it is going on, so much of knowledge is everywhere. It's not like those days when people of certain, birth and family only were having access to this knowledge. It's available to all, but I don't know how many will really benefit. Either they have to be like Ekalavya types, who are totally, totally sincere and absolutely, particular that they must attain and nothing else they need in life. They may achieve something, or else those who have in this clutter of internet found a way to reach out or meet a proper Guru, and with proper Diksha, proper understanding of things, they are able to proceed. That is the other way. I don't see the first category of Ekalavyas who can depend on their internet and redeem themselves, too many in the world. The other option is this. So knowledge will come, some inspiration may come for some time, but total transformation is only in Guru's presence. Watching the sun in the picture versus standing in sunlight is two different things. So you cannot compare the effectiveness of this with that. You have to be in the real sun. You should be standing in the bright daylight. Then you feel the warmth and light, the blessedness of it. Watching it in a TV screen, it doesn't create the same impact. You may still see the sun rising and setting and shining. It doesn't have the same impact as it directly absorbing the rays, standing in the sun. Vitamin D, vitamin divinity. in Guru's presence. Otherwise, you cannot absorb it so easily. So many things are there, but I think online is a nice thing to start off, at least get them to Jignasa level. Whether Jnani level happens or not, I have my own doubts, but Jignasa level, maybe it can bring them out from just the Arti Artharthi to some level of Jignasa. What is this knowledge? Why are they so happy? Jignasa is so important in spiritual path. We are teaching Kenopanishad now. Kena shitam patati. Why? Kena means by what reason, for what, who is behind this? That is the question. Curiosity, Jignasa. Extremely important to begin on the path, but that is not the end of the path. The end of the path is Jnani. Otherwise, Ajivamupi Jignasu Parastatram Vimuhyate. You will never understand that. Even lifelong, he keeps asking questions. So asking questions is a part of the process. Investigation, Mimamsa, part of the process. But it is not the end. It is the method, but it is not the destination. So therefore, Jnana is the destination, which happens only in proper Guru's presence. Whichever way, or you have that kind of a sincerity of Ekalavya, then it's a different story. But otherwise, for a regular, just another aspirant, a sadhaka, proper methodology is very, very important. Otherwise, they will go, sometime they will be a yogi, sometimes they will become bhogi. They go up and come down. So I tell apramattena tada yogi. Only the one who does not err alone is that. Otherwise, yoga is prabhavapyayo. It is subject to growth and decay. It can increase one prayer in a beautiful environment. You heard a nice bhajan, read a nice book, or met a nice person. Next day you are changed again back to your old ways because it has declined again. It is very common, very normal. So to continuously stay in that state ever, Indriya, Sthirendriya Dharanam, that is what Kathopanishad said. Or he told just now, Adi Shankara told, Sendriya Manasa Niyama Deyam. So control all your mind senses. This all happens in the presence of a Guru. Because your mind is so absorbed, the magnetic presence, the effulgence, the aura is such that you naturally feel. You're in a temple, you feel so much of peace. The God is everywhere, isn't it? It's supposed to be in everything. Then why only in temple you feel that great presence, that feeling? Because there is something to do with the environment, the energy, the aura of the place, the vibrations. So therefore, a guru from that point of view is very important. And if you get a guru, you should consider yourself very, very, because our old times gurus won't just accept like this. This morning somebody sent me a question also, message also saying that, I taught some Viveka Chudamani's 1 or 2 shlokas there in the beginning. Jantu nam narajur durlabham tata pumsam viprata tatha. Means to be born as a human being is very, very rare. In that, being born as a man and then being born as a Brahmin. Vipra means, very ordinary translation, Brahmin. Very difficult. So he asked Swami, why did you, Shankaracharya, talked about being born as a man and not as a woman? What happens to the woman then? I told, see, look at the times, situations, circumstances, and then analyze these scriptures. You can't just pull that from, put it here and put this and put it there. It doesn't work like that. You should think Deshakala Paristhiti. Look at those times when women were not having access to Vedic knowledge. Somehow the social rules were so strict, or whichever was the reason, women were not taught. I went to some place and they were doing yajnam, and there the pujari is telling me that this is his mother, very devoted to Swami, and then she performed some rituals and then she was asked to come out. He told, see, women are allowed to go only this far in this ritual. Beyond that, women are not allowed to continue. I kept quiet, but I told, but I am teaching Vedam to all the women everywhere in my ashram. He just didn't say anything. He just said, Swami, that is fine, but the ritual says like that. What you are doing is, you know what you are doing. But here, if we follow very orthodox, this is what it is. So that's why women were not having access to that. Second thing, for women to walk out of the house and become a sannyasin was not easy in those days. Physically, you cannot take care of yourself. In the sense, you are not, everybody is Jhansi Rani. So they are all subject to all kinds of ridicules, all kinds of, dangers. And walking out of the house is not so easy. The society would not allow you. Your parents wouldn't allow you, your in-laws wouldn't allow you. Look, Meera, so many years later, she tried it, she suffered still. So you are talking about Vedic times. So that way you see Shankaracharya says, so you are blessed if you are all born male in that way. Now, from the point of view that you have access to this kind of knowledge, Vedic knowledge, and also if you decide to take to this path, even if you are a woman, probably it's not as difficult as what it was earlier. So today the equation changes. But nevertheless, idea is that to find even a human birth is rare, Manushyatvam. Then develop Mumukshatvam is different. Then Mahapurusha Samshaya. To find a guru or a knowledgeable person. See, otherwise, ande naiva niyamana yatanda. I keep quoting that. A blind leading the blind. I know nothing, but I believe I know everything. Come, I'll teach you, and you both go and fall in a ditch. Vijñātum avijanatam, avijñātum vijanatam. Kenopanishad today we are teaching. The one who thinks he knows actually doesn't know. The one who truly knows, he will never think that way. So these are the things which are there with the Guru associated. India is, Guru Shishya Parampara is so powerful, and truly the teachers who are teaching the circular subjects are not really Gurus. We may call them Gurus for the sake of it, eulogizing this whole concept of Guru. But the true Guru was that who knew the Atma Vidya. All others were just, Acharyas are also there in our scriptures, Shishya Anushasana becomes Acharyaya Priyam Dhanamavritya Prajatantum ma vyavachhetsi. So take Acharya and Acharya's traditions you should continue. That's a different story. That could be an Acharya who instructs you in your charya. The one who teaches you how to go about in the society doing things is Acharya. Acharana, he teaches you. But Guru is somebody who is beyond. A Guru is like Dakshinamurti. He does not run his ashram and tells people, okay, so enrollments have started for the year 2020-21. All those who are interested in Atma Vidya may kindly apply online. And those who want online distant learning, for them there is a separate category. Those who want residential hostel facilities. It doesn't work like that. Doesn't work like that. Today it may appear to work like that. People pay fee, go for 15 days, some yoga, all kinds. And in 15 days they feel that they have washed away all the sins of all the past births by eating some frugal food and wearing some linen clothing for 10-15 days, sleeping on a straw mat in the midst of a jungle, having learnt a few mantras. They come back so elevated. Back again, you get into the muck of Bangalore. No time, everything is gone. So that kind of a Guru Shishya won't work. This part-time thing won't work either. You should be either serious about your spiritual growth or don't fool around. That's what I would say. Take it seriously and proceed. Then there is no looking back, looking this way, that way. You know this is my goal. Nanya Panta Yanai Vidyate. This is the only road I know. I must walk, whatever, how difficult, easy as it is. Doesn't matter. But then otherwise is you keep going around in the circles. Dharma Mrityu, Kala Chakra. Keep going around. Who cares? So you have to decide for yourself. If you have decided and fallen at the feet of a Guru and surrendered, it has to be 100% surrender. You can't hold anything back. There is no sense of ahamkara. That's why it is said very beautifully. 2 lines our Ashtavakra says. Yada naham tada moksho, yada aham bandhanas tada. There is na aham tada moksho. There is moksha. Yada aham I am bandhanas tada. Immediately the person is bound. That's simple. Aham naham is all the secret lies there. Turn this way, turn that way. I am so and so. That's it. You're done. Bandhanas tada. I am nothing. Naham. Moksha. This is it's easy to hear and nice to hear and even nice to repeat, but to experience that total naham, it's a process of, it's a process which takes its own twists and turns. Completely getting rid of entire. Aham means not just about this arrogance I'm talking. Humility may be there in person, but this identification itself with the body, which is the kind of, which causes kartrutva, bhoktritva bhavas. I am the doer and I am the experiencer, enjoyer, or whichever way experiencer, or miserable or happy. That aham bhava is only kills you there. So by surrendering to Guru, a lot of your aham disappears. It becomes very minuscule. So that it's easy to crush that also and cross over. Because of his presence. Because of this continuous jnana sudha abhivrishya. Continuous rain of jnana, karunya, continuously under his supervision. Then what happens? You are naturally so inspired all the time. Your mind vagaries will be reduced, arrested to a great extent. And their ahankara, the identification with this body, which is the main problem. Arrogance and all is much lower. They're demonic qualities. They should be shunned right away. Kama, Krodha, Moda, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsara. These all should be shunned right there. With this, you can't even enter an ashrama. Truth is that. Why should Guru allow? You are not even eligible. You are not even worked on ABCD. You want to learn university degree. Get rid of Kama, Krodha, Moha first and then come. Now deal with only through few things. Your demonic, tamasic should have been given up. Laziness, jadya, nidra. All this should have been given up before you catch hold of Guru's feet. You should have done some homework and come. Then you come and ask him for the higher problems like, I cannot get rid of this body identification, deha bhimana. So please teach me that. Because once that goes only, I will proceed further. So you ask the Guru, no, start working on my Kama, Krodha, Moha. It is like asking a university professor to teach a primary school kid. Let's begin with ABCD. And it's below dignity. You should have done all that homework yourself and come finally with a pure mind, surrendered mind. The only problem with the mind is that it still is. Mind is. Though it is pure, it is surrendered, it is very divine. Yet mind is. Till mind is, you don't achieve that, right? So he teaches you how to become amani. No mind situation from some mind. Even pure mind is an obstacle. So no mind is the only way. And that Guru can teach in his presence. So that is the lesson you should come to Guru for. All other things you should have finished long back if you are coming for the highest knowledge. But then other Gurus who will teach you some pranayama, all these kind of methodology, which will first help you calm your mind, get yourself ready for the final thing. So all these things one should do on their own. I was not spending too much time on this. I taught you simple because I assume that you should have been already done this. And I also told you that not that is you have not done in the past. You have done in some birth somewhere. So this vidya is there inside you. It will come out of you when you start putting practice. But provided you have interest. If you are not interested in your own redemption, who can save you? I don't want to be saved. Then who can save you? I don't want to pass. Who can pass you? You don't want to write anything on the answer paper. Who can make you pass? That is your own responsibility. So this is why Guru is an inspiration. You see that beautiful Mundaka Upanishad, one story is there. You know that? The story of two birds is there in Mundaka Upanishad. Dva Suparna Sayuja Sakhaya. Two Dva Suparna, similar looking, similar feathers. Sayuja, together they were Sakhaya, and of similar species or similar name and feel. Where were they? Samanam Vriksham, in the same tree they were sitting. Parishasva Jate, sitting or clinging onto the same tree. Two birds were sitting. What happened? Tayor Anyaha, one of them, between the two, one of them, Pippalam, the fruits which were there, it was Swadavatti. It was enjoying the fruits. It means it was eating the fruits. Pippalam Swadavatti. And what was the other doing? Anashnan Anya Abhichakshamiti. It was always looking, Abhichaksha, continuously watching. But it was not eating any of the fruits. It was sitting peacefully on the top and peacefully sitting. And this lower bird thought, who is that bird sitting on top? Looks so peaceful. Abhichakshamiti. Always watching something, lost as if in some thought of its own. It is not eating these fruits, berries of the tree. This lower bird, what it does, it goes and eats some berry. Oh, it's so sweet, it forgets the upper bird and now is enjoying the berry, fruit. And then it goes and picks another fruit. It's so bitter, it gets a shock. Then it says, I would have been better if I was there. Suddenly, Smashana Vairagya comes. Why? Because this bitter fruit has come. Some dukkha has come in some shoka, some tapa, some nashta, some kashta. So immediately Vairagya wakes up. Oh, I must get rid of this stupid idea of eating fruits. Let me become like that bird which sits so peacefully without eating these fruits which are bitter and sweet. And suddenly it starts climbing up to come closer to that bird. But when it reaches the next branch, again more fruits are there. And again it gets distracted. Well, let me see, maybe these will be better than the last time. That friend was a terrible one. Maybe this friendship might yield me better. That business collapsed, I know. But maybe this business will earn me some money. Oh, that wife was terrible. Now, this is a new marriage, new wife. Maybe something will turn out good. So you have go, and then you again pick and eat. Pipalam. Then what happens? The fruit leads to experiences, both bitter and sweet. Turns out to be good, then you forget the bird upper. Why it is so peaceful, you forget that. Why it's not interested in eating these fruits, you forget that. Again, you start eating some other bitter fruit. Then once you eat another bitter fruit, you get a shock. You are terribly, your wife has cheated you, alimony, all the money, all the wealth is gone. And next, you don't know where to go on the road, or your friend has deceived you, or somebody defrauded you. Whatever the sad sorrow, some dear one passed away, whom you're too attached to, anything. That is another bitter fruit you eat, again your face goes up. Oh, how that bird is so happy. Let me become like that. Who is that? Let me find out. Again you climb another branch, then what happens? You find one more bunch of fruits. Again you forget. You get busy tasting, saying that, so what if I had a bad experience last time? You even forget that you had a bad experience. And you start again desiring for another new experience. So birth after birth after birth, we have always looked at that divine self. Birth after birth, we have forgotten, again eaten fruits. And again suffered the consequences or enjoyed, as the case might be, some good sweet ones, some bitter ones. And every time a bitter fruit came, we looked up and said, why we are not like that bird? But every time we forget, we see a next bunch of fruits, we forget. This is the plight of the man on the spiritual path. Suddenly something happens, goes wrong. I must go to Mudrahalli, I must see Swami, I must. Why? Because something terribly went wrong in your life. Everything is going right. A message is enough, Swami, everything is fine. That's all they treat Guru for. That is wrong. That is what I am trying to say. Oh, Swami, you are great, but you are sitting on the upper branch. I am happy eating these fruits. As long as the fruits are sweet, everybody is happy. The moment a bitter fruit comes, no, Swami, please redeem me from this Maya. Please take me up. Please redeem. All kinds of, I don't want to live in this life. I don't want this job. I don't want this family. I want to give up everything and come to you. Please show me Atman. But somehow, the person who troubled them or something went wrong, they come back and say, I'm very sorry that I behaved like this. I'm sorry. Then they forget Swami. They forget Guru. They forget Atma Jnana. Back to eating fruits. Till another bitter one comes. That is the plight of man. That is the plight of man. In the same tree we are sitting. Their true self also is that. And the lower self, the ahankara is this. Sakshatkara is that. Ahankara, you are sitting and suffering. Aham. Identification with the body. This is Purusho Nimagna, the next sloka says. Same tree we are sitting. Samane Vrikshe Purusho Nimagna. He is drowned in ignorance, that Purusha. The man, the being, the jiva. Drowned in the ignorance. And what does he do? Suffers problems. And what he thinks? Anishaya, I am useless. Isha means I am great. Anishaya, I am useless. I am suffering. And keeps suffering. Shochati. Muhyamanaha. Keeps on suffering, thinking this. Suffers in some setbacks and, oh, his life is waste. I am a waste. Everything is a waste. This, that. Starts suffering. Only when yada jushtam. Only when he puts effort. That is why he's saying you have to exert yourself. Only when that person puts effort and sees what? Pashyati. Whom? Anya Isha. He sees the other one, which is like Isha, like a king is sitting on top. Unaffected, unperturbed by anything, lost in its Atma Krida, Atmarati. Busy and happy in his own self. Till he puts effort to look up and see Anya. Other one. Who is he? Isha. Both symbolically as well as figuratively you see. He is the Lord or he is also the controller. Isha means he controls everything. Means he controls his mind, his senses, his vagaries. He is able to keep that. Everything under his control. Sendriya Manasa Niyama Deyam. That sitting there doesn't get distracted by the fruits. He sees that. Then what he says? Asya Mahimanamiti Vita Shoka. He realizes that and realizes the glory and greatness of that state of complete control over mind and senses and complete absorption in the meditation of the true self. Vita shoka, all the sorrows disappear. Like this little bird comes there and realizes, oh, and finally realizes it is me only. That is the sakshatkara, this is the ahankara. That is soham, this is aham. That's all the difference. The moment you are soham, you are that. You are no more disturbed. Then you will say, what happens to the person? Will he not have any bitter fruits? What does he eat and survive on? He will also have bitter fruit, but bitterness will not make him suffer. Don't think that you will become a Jnani or Jivan Mukta and no problems will come to you. Jesus was crucified. Ramakrishna died of cancer. Ramana Maharshi died of arthritis and cancer. Name them. But still they are blissful. Why? Because they have reached that state where bitter and sweet, this Dvaita does not affect them anymore. Otherwise you keep eating these fruits on and on and on, birth after birth, and every time it is bitter. Rush to ashram. Until it is sweet. Children are listening to you, they do just as you want. Your boss is encouraging you, getting promotions, money is just flowing into the accounts. You bought a new house, another new house you have applied for, the second car, an SUV is coming in next Diwali. Everything is hunky-dory, nobody cares for Atma Jnana. Suddenly COVID comes. Lost your job, don't know how to pay your EMIs. Ye samsare bahu dustare, kripaya pare, sai murare. Too difficult this samsara is. Save me from this samsara. Bitter fruit. Suddenly government announces nobody will lose job, everybody is getting a happy, go lucky financial package. And you can continue your party. Forget Swami, forget ashram, forget Atman, forget Brahma Vidya. Back to samsara. Eating fruits. Till the next shock comes. See, this is the plight of a man, plight of a human, ajnana. The Guru is the one who comes in out of his kripa and shows that there is a higher thing in life, there are higher things in life. Above these bitter and sweet fruits, there is a state where there is nothing called bitter, nothing called sweet. Everything is beautiful, everything is Satchid Ananda. That state exists. Where does it exist? In you it exists. You don't have to go elsewhere to get that. That joy, that bliss of Atman is right in you and you are that. Tattvam Asi. And that poor Guru put so much of effort to teach. He thinks that, oh, this man has for once for all, he has come with complete detachment from everything and there is no going back. And he takes you in his fold and starts teaching you all this Brahma Vidya. And little does he know, poor Guru, that this is all that Shmashan Vairagya, this is all the knee-jerk Vairagyas. It's come because whomever you loved left you, money didn't come through, loans are galore, everybody's after your life, the best refuge is ashram. When everything goes well, I don't think this ashram is for me. Or you find some problem in the ashram, the food is not up to mark, you sari dress code, my God, that is a torture to us. This new thing of sari dress code. Anytime you step out of the house, you have to wear sari. This is a headache for us. You know how much time it takes to wear sari? And you know how difficult it is to carry on in that sari anywhere? Every time you have to fold it back, every time it's such a long piece of cloth. I know what murmurs go on in the minds of people. Why? Because you are still wanting to taste those bittersweet fruits. If you have not yet focused that your goal of life is Atma Jnana, and everything that takes us towards that must be the only way forward. There is nothing else. This should be on our minds. Anything that is coming in its way should be discarded, thrown away. I told ruthlessly, asanga shastrena, with the detachment you should cut it away ruthlessly. Mercilessly. That's one place you should not have any mercy. When any attachment, any desire is coming in your way, to attain that which your Guru is teaching, just get rid of it. No heart there, no compassion. That is the kind of bhakti, Guru bhakti, demanded of a Shishya. Guru Shishya Parampara is the most sacred tradition of India. It's there in other countries also in some way or the other. But the beauty, the glory, the grandeur, the depth, the intensity, of Guru Shishya Parampara as it is in India. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guru Menam. I consider you greater than Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. Why? Because you are Parabrahma. Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara are also manifest Brahmans only. But they are still in Vedantic tradition a lower, Vyakta. That is Mahata, Vyakta. Avyakta is the highest. So you are that Guru because you have realized that. If you find such a Guru, Manushyatva, Mumukshatva, Mahapurusha Samshraya, so beautiful it is. So beautiful, so amazing that opportunity is. Ahetuka Daya Sindhu, Bandhu, Anamatam Satam. Always a well-wisher of those who are surrendered to him. Always showering his compassion without any inhibition, without any condition, without any reason. What a beauty that Guru once attains, and who is only interested in the highest welfare. No more fooling around with you. I'll do this for you, you'll become rich and you'll become mighty and this will happen and your daughter will get married in 2021 and your son will go to US in 2022. Not like that. That Guru might have done just to attract your attention, to draw your attention to the higher reason of your existence. But don't get stuck there only. If that is what will lead you to turn towards Guru, get attached to Guru's feet and learn the higher thing, then it is okay. Otherwise, you come there and you get stuck there only. That is not right. That is not right. So you have shortchanged yourself of the opportunity that has come your way. That is why I am so clear now, I am so particular that everybody should focus and work on this path. Because for years people have come and gone. They have still been eating bitter and sweet fruits. And every time the fruit became bitter, they came running, rushing. And every time it was sweet, there is no atapata, lapata, missing. I have seen this for years. How many of them really put effort to grow spiritually? I have to count on fingers only. Even if their efforts were there, Prabhava Apyayu. It went up closer to the November birthday time. All sadhana, everything suddenly started peaking. Come December and the New Year party, everything came down. Until next November or next Guru Purnima, no more efforts put. That kind of bhakti is now no use. You are just fooling yourself. That bhakti where you finally become one with what you are meditating on, you are absorbed in that idea, in that thought. There is no two. You become that. That is the ultimate. Jnanam jneyam tatha jnata tritayam nasti vastavam. These three don't exist separately. The knower, jnata, jnanam, the knowledge, jneyam, the object. None of these three are different. That state it has to reach. None of these are real. Ajnanat bhati yatredam. All this is because of ignorance. I see me different from my Guru different from the meditation procedure, method. All these look different to me because of my ajnana only. Who I am, soham asmi niranjanaha, Ashtavakra says. That state you have to reach where everything, jnanam, jneyam, jnata, everything becomes one. There are no three there. And all that three we see is because of our ignorance only. So reach that stage where this does not exist anymore and you realize soham asmi niranjanaha. I am that soham asmi. I am niranjana. Always in the state of peace and bliss. That is the true state. So you have to keep this goal. Other day I was telling the students, you have to keep telling yourself, you have been told this lie that you are a body, you are a body, you are a body for births. Not to undo this lie. You have to tell this truth to yourself that I am divine for a few births maybe. We don't know. Because for births and births you have been told you are just this body. And if a lie told too many times sounds like truth. And we have believed, we have fooled ourselves into this truth that yes, we are the body. At best we are the mind. But now we have to tell this truth to ourselves so many times that it erases that lie from our minds once for all. It gets firmly established, sunishchita, firmly established, installed in our minds that we are divine. So why this body? It's an instrument. Why this mind? It's an instrument. That is abahya karana, this is antah karana. Both are karanas, both are instrument to me. So who are you? I am the master of this all. That clarity. So what do you mean by this body is, your name is so and so? Yes, that is in this birth, this body has been given to me to Sharira Madhyam Kalu Dharma Sadhakam. I have to do my Dharma Sadhana, for that this body has been given, that's it. Beyond that there is no use for this body. That clarity, that sharpness, that alertness, Uttishta Jagrata, that should be with us every waking, and even in sleep this only should go on. Even in dream this only should go on. And you have to tell yourself how many times, so many times till you finally really feel that you are different from the body. You feel different from the body in all those little short moments of meditation. But then we are back on the body. A merchant who did lot of sins, shortchanged people, defrauded them, went all the way to Ganga, saying that I have too much guilt in my head, too many wrong things I have done. So repenting, he said, if you go and jump into Ganga, your sins will get washed and you can come back happy. So his guru, he took the permission and went there. And before going to Ganga, he removed his clothes and put it on the branch of a tree. And went, took some 3 dips and felt very refreshed and rejuvenated, very pure, came back, wore the clothes and came back to the shop and again started cheating and defrauding people. So then he told Guru, I went to Ganga, I did everything, but my pravrittis, all those instincts are still there. He told, your instincts also, you left it outside Ganga like your clothes on the tree. And once you came back, you wore them back again and came. That's why it's not gone. It is still there deep inside. So coming to ashram, living here and doing all this, fine. But if those pravrittis are not gone yet, then you have not progressed far. So therefore you come here, I am not the body, I am not the body. Even while telling I am not the body, I am quite conscious that I am the body. It's not reached that stage. But how many times you have to tell? So many times that you should be able to remember that this is you. Like some people, suppose, undergo name change. Like a simple example, when women undergo marriage, after marriage their surnames are changed. Sometimes their names are also changed in the new family. Suppose your sister-in-law there also has the same name, they pakka change your name only first. They'll change the name, then you have to change your signature. Isn't it? So your name, your signature. Next time somebody, not like the modern fashion, all names, all surnames, this side, that side, no. Old time fashion. I'm just giving an example, not saying this is right, that is wrong. But now what happens, you go to bank account, you have to change your signature in the bank account. You have to put an affidavit for all your driving license, passports, everywhere you have to change your surname name. And you have to remember first that your name has changed. Your surname has changed, your signature has changed. Suppose you go to the bank and you forget and sign the old signature, your check will bounce. Or you go to some place, let's say immigration. They ask you your name, you tell a wrong name, they will suspect you that this lady is pretending to be somebody else. So you have to remember, right? You have to consciously remember that my name has changed. I'm married now and my name has changed, my signature has changed. I must tell the new name and use the new signature. But first few months what happens? You keep making the same mistake. Unconsciously you end up signing something. Or our children will know it better. When the year changes from 2019 to 2020, 2019 continues till February, March in their notebooks. Habit. Dead habit. Pravrutti, that is what is called. Habits are pravruttis. Deep-rooted. So you keep writing 2019, 2019, till teachers comes and reminds your teacher, hey, we are in 2020, you're still writing 2020. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. Habit. Like this woman who's married keeps signing the old signature and all her checks, everything is bouncing because habit. Same way, I am the body has become a habit with us. For how many births it has been a habit with us. That if now somebody tells you that this is wrong, we are not able to believe. Means we are not even able to believe that we are actually in 2020. We are still thinking we are in 2019. Look at the plight of that person. At least if we understand that actually calendars have changed and we are in 2020. I remember the New Year party. Yes, you are right, teacher, we are in 2020. He'll put some genuine effort. Or the women, who forgets writing the name correctly, touches her Mangal Sutra. Nowadays, no Mangal Sutra, that's a different story. But at least remembers that I have a husband when I go back home from the office. Therefore, my name has to be, I have to remember. So consciously, they develop the habit of writing the right date or changing their name and signature. That conscious effort is what is required to remember that I am not this body and mind. The body and mind are mine only, but I am not that. I am beyond. Paratastu saha. I am beyond this. That is me. That consciousness is me. And that requires so much effort to remember, because it's very easy to slip into the old habit again. So how many times you have to tell Brahmasmi, Brahmasmi? I don't know. Maybe for a few years you have to tell Brahmasmi, Brahmasmi, till it becomes an established thought in your head. And nothing else will come to your head. Yes, it doesn't mean that you will write Brahmasmi in your passports and question paper and answer. No, not like that. You are conscious that you are Brahman. Instrument's name is so and so, and therefore I have to write this instrument's name. Suppose you want to get a car pass. Will they not ask you your name and what is your car's model, name, number? So you will provide both. I am so and so, and my car pass, for the car pass, the car number and model is so and so, this colored car. To that extent, use your body to only explain to the world that this is your instrument and instrument's name is such and such. This is the model. Whatever, Reddy, Shetty, Gowda, this is model name, that's all. Otherwise, who I am? I am Brahman only. I am the master of this car. I am not the car. But for the sake of pass, I am giving you the details of my car. Which garage it is from, where did you buy it from, which year, make, engine, chassis, all that you have to write. But you are the owner. That forgetfulness should go. That's why so many times you have to tell yourself this truth, that it becomes sunishchitartha, it becomes well established in your mind, so much so that always you are conscious and mindful of this truth of yourself. And like the upper bird, which is sitting on the tree, it may be also eating when it needs to eat, but it is unaffected by what goes on around. It is very happy and peaceful. So your guru comes and shows you that this is possible. Because you need some example. Is there somebody who can think like this? Who can be like this? Who can do like this? Or is this just a theory valid for 10,000 years ago but not today? No, it's not theory. It's practice. It's possible. So that way you get inspired. That's why Guru Shishya Parampara. Guru has no other agenda. He is interested in your highest welfare only. Anything else is not Guru's agenda. For that highest welfare, if something is required, he will do. A miracle here and there, a guidance there, an instruction there, that's about it. Only to help you, like this Yogananda Paramhamsa, who was getting distracted and running away, just to give him a little experience, a small experience, so that he stays. And that's all. A small relief from a problem, a small guidance on a very pressing issue, a small instruction where you are confused, a small help here and there, just ways and means to keep you on the path. So understand the value of this opportunity, the ashram life, the opportunity to serve, do Guru Seva, Guru Bhakti, and ultimately all this jnana that is flowing, meditating on which you can redeem yourself.